write an effective paragraph. So we'll see now. A paragraph is just like, you can see here, the picture is self-explanatory over here. You can see there are so many blocks, building blocks available with us, and these blocks have been stacked one over the other. In the same way, a paragraph has also got a lot of sentences stacked one over the other. If these blocks are arranged neatly in an organized way, it might be appealing. Otherwise, it will not appeal to the eye, or it may lose the charm of conveying something. In the same way, the paragraph should also have the sentences neatly organized or strung together so that the ideas flow naturally. Now let's see whether it is in the case of fiction or non-fiction. Words and sentences are very very basic and elemental, and these words are stringing the narrative together in a sentence. And when sentences are effectively placed, they string the narrative together in a paragraph. Now let's try to have an analogy, a bit of comparison over here. And just like a phone, a smartphone or Android phone, when we use the Android phone to take a photograph, the process, exact processes, you see the phone sees, no, in its eye a lot of chunks of pictures. The picture is, the bits and pieces of the picture is seen here, but the phone has got the internal device that is organizing all these bits and pieces, disjointed bits and pieces into a whole, so that you see a baby sleeping very happily over here, face down, it's sleeping. In the same way, the pieces of information in a paragraph should be built in such a natural way, either as a story unit or as a non-fiction unit, so that the flow of information is good enough, smooth enough. Now we will see, just as pictures have got a lot of cues or clues, in the same way, the sentences in a paragraph are acting like visual cues. In the sense, the words or the phrases expressed in the paragraph should enable the readers to visualize the picture in their mind. So this is the power of words. When the right words are chosen and used effectively or in effective combination, definitely that will induce the reader's mind to visualize the scene in their mind. Let's now move over to the next idea. Let's see how, here again is an analogy. You can here see a roadmap where you see the destination, the starting point and the destination, or the place right now where we are. And from there we have to reach our destination. And here you see another picture where you see a steel structure getting erected so strongly, and you see a lot of steel rods are arranged so very beautifully that it gives an aesthetic appeal to the entire picture. In the same way, the sentences in the paragraph should be arranged so so organized so well that the paragraph will have, that will take us, the readers will be taken to the direct idea, the main idea, where what the writer is trying to say. So these two analogies would have given us some idea about how sentences are very very elemental, and it is also necessary that we have to sequence them in the right order. Now let's see what are some of the things in elements in a paragraph. A paragraph has got a topic sentence. It is also called a focus sentence. TS stands for topic sentence. It is also known as a focus sentence. In formal writing, the very first sentence of a paragraph is called the topic sentence. But there is no exact rule of thumb for that. Some of the writers would love to place their topic sentence at the end of the paragraph. Most of the writers will have the topic sentence in the very beginning of the paragraph. And now it's time for us to reflect upon the purpose of having a topic sentence in a paragraph. The topic sentences, they are acting as signpost. Now it tells the readers what's the paragraph all about. And as we have seen in the previous picture, it is a sort of roadmap, and it navigates the readers through the maze of paths around to the destination. So the paragraph may have a lot of details, and this topic sentence is like navigating the readers to the main idea through the maze of details that are given in a paragraph. And what's the role of other sentences in a paragraph? They are adding more information, or they might add a number of facts for additional input, or descriptions may be there. A piece of descriptive writing might be full of descriptions, or technical writing or scientific writing may have a lot of details. So, topic sentence is like a signpost, like a roadmap. The other sentences do the job of giving additional inputs by way of strengthening the topic sentence. Now let's see what's the purpose. The paragraph, as you see in the picture, a child is playing with the beads and is trying to arrange the beads, no colorful beads in a string. In the same way, the writer has to arrange the sentences, checking the combination or the appeal or the flow, the logical connection. The writer has to arrange the sentences in the paragraph so that the information is held together. Now, this sort of a close-knit setup will give the readers or help the readers to follow the sentences of the paragraph in a meaningful way, and they can very easily find out what is the meaning of the implications of the paragraph. When they read it, they'll be able to find out what is the writer trying to say to them. Now let's see how this idea gets explained in a few examples. To begin with, we have an example like this. The topic sentence reads, no, as below: the rain in the city impacts the life of its people. People. This is the main sentence, the topic sentence. The supporting sentences may add details, no, like whether the rain is sort of drizzle, or whether if it is a drizzle, definitely it will induce the heat, and if it is a moderate rainfall, it might cheer the inhabitants of a city or a town or a village. If it is a heavy downpour, as we have experienced very recently in the year 2015, and very recently now, the monsoonal rain had created a lot of havoc. So the topic sentence says the rain in the city impacts the life of the people. So that gives you supporting sentences should be more on the type of rain, whether it's a drizzle or a moderate fall or a heavy downpour. So that if it is a heavy downpour, naturally the impact to the life of the people will be, the normal life will be thrown out of gear. So the concluding sentence, no, of the paragraph should reaffirm, restate the nature of impact and its influence on the weather conditions in the ensuing days, in the following days. So now let's see whether another example can add, more light to this. A topic sentence, entails, the topic sentence contains a controlling idea. There are, say, look at the following example. There are many valid reasons why the pollution in the X city is worsening. The controlling idea here is valid reasons. So the supporting sentences that we are adding soon after the topic sentence should tell you more about the reasons that are contributing to the pollution level. So the controlling idea gives you the cues to a writer so that he may focus much upon the reasons that are contributing for the increasing level of pollution. Now let's see one more example. Here is an example. A successful mentor endures his or her mentees and inspires them to great actions. The controlling idea here is the sentence is: a successful mentor endures his mentees and inspires them to great action. The controlling idea here is enduring qualities of the mentor. Traits here refers to the qualities. So, enduring qualities of the mentor and how these qualities has been a reason for inspiration to the inspiration of his mentees to great action. So it is a cue, it is a clue for the writer that the supporting sentences should elaborate more on the controlling idea, which are all the qualities, enduring qualities of the leader. The same is also explained in the further example. The many possible controlling factors, contributing factors for global warming has intensified the crisis. The topic sentence talks about contributing factor. The problem or the issue is global warming, and the status now is it's a crisis situation, a sort of red alert situation. So the controlling idea here is the contributing factors for global warming. So the writer should see that the supporting sentences he is going to add soon after the topic sentence should talk about the factors that are worsening the crisis of global warming. There is another more day-to-day example. A topic sentence here: cats prove to be wonderful pets because they help you to celebrate life and live longer. The controlling idea in this sentence is that there are umpteen number of reasons for celebrating life and longevity, and the pets are behind this wonderful magic. So the controlling idea is reasons for celebrating. Your pet makes that life special. So you celebrate life and you love to live longer. So let's see the functions. Now let's now elaborate upon the functions of a topic sentence. For the writer, the topic sentence is helping him or her to stay focused. So there is not much scope for digression here. He stays focused and gives tools to elaborate upon the controlling ideas. So the topic sentence is also giving tools, no? Like it gives cues. What are the supporting sentences to be about? And it also sets the tone for the entire paragraph. So these are some of the functions of a topic sentence. Now let's see, try to understand this concept with the help of a picture. You see here a picture frame. The entire frame can be called, taken to mean a paragraph, whereas the picture of the blooms, the buds, blooms, and the people queuing in front of a gateway, and some of the people walking, all these details is or sentences, and these details gives the sentence a scene provider. The topic sentence here gives the scene provider, can be seen as a scene provider, so the writer can elaborate on the things. Now let's move over to the next one, the essential elements of a paragraph. Number one is unity. A topic sentence should have unity in the sense there must be some logical connection between the ideas or sentences stated there. That is unity. Now next is order. Organization is next essential thing. Organization of supporting sentences should give it beauty to the writing. So as the picture itself is um, the picture itself is telling you that are explaining it, self-explanatory. You see how these dog puppies are arranged, no, from small size to the bigger one, or the children, they have arranged the shoes, no, from a bigger one to the smaller one. So there must be some order, either from small to big, or big down to small, either in the ascending orders or in the descending order, so that the reader's understanding gets uh, heightened. Understanding is good. And the next one is coherence. It is nothing but how the sentences are connected. The logical piecing of information is done effortlessly by means of transition words. They are nothing but the discourse markers, no? Like words like at the outset, in the beginning, first of all, secondly, next to that, following that, moreover, however. These are all called discourse markers or transition words that helps how the sentences can move from one to the other level. They bridge the information together. And another thing we have to pay attention to is tense in a paragraph should be taken care of. All the sentences should have common tense. You should not have the very first sentence in present tense and the next sentence in past tense and then future. You should not mix up everything. There should be some unity and the consistency in the use of tense too. And then another aspect we often miss is that a completeness. We started very powerfully, we have all the details needed, but we leave the end abruptly. So that is another area we have to focus. It should have, the final piece should give a closing look. So you see the picture here, how small bits have been joined together in such a nice manner, so that on completion, it gives you a complete look. The completeness is very essential when you complete. So the concluding part is also plays a major role. So everything, all these things in their own way, they contribute to the unity of the paragraph. Now we'll see the writing process actually. There are major elements. It is applicable to both brief and elaborate writing. You have steps like invent, compose, revise, and there are strategies for inventing ideas, composing your ideas, and reviewing and proofreading. These are all called the nuts and bolts of the writing process. Now, moving forward, we can see that what is invention? It is nothing but starting. You have to have some theme. So you ask these questions to yourself, a sort of checklist. You ask, why do I write? That gives you the purpose. Whom do I write? So it gives you the audience. You have to think about the audience for whom you are writing is meant for. In what form? This is the type of writing, the genre. Whether you are going to go for poems or you are going for a narrative, a story, a descriptive piece of writing, a scientific piece of writing, a political treatise, that tells you the zone. The style, how do I write? Do I have a serious style, a classical style where I use standard stock expressions, or I have a natural style, adopting the language of the masses, all that. That talks about the style. What do I write tells you the subject. So, in order to find out the subject for your writing, you have to read a lot and research a lot. And then the invention strategies are asking a lot of critical questions. It's like a free writing or a brainstorm session. Once pour your ideas, pour your heart and mind onto the paper, then you can map and cluster. Our ideas can be categorized under different headings. Like these sentences may be clustered and grouped under the definition part, and these points can be grouped under the variety of it. These sentences can be grouped under the functions of the device, so, things like that. So first of all, the very first step is pour your mind and heart onto the paper, then start organizing or grouping them together. And keeping a journal will also help us. No, we jot down periodically our personal exploration, reflection on ideas and updates, so that we'll stay updated or fully informed on the topic. Then the next step is, how do I compose my piece of writing? You have to conduct research, narrow down the topic, develop the thesis statement, organize your ideas, and then come up with the first draft. And the first draft should be revised very often till it is seen in a beautiful form. So while no, while arranging our ideas, organize our ideas into a form, we should talk about an outline. It should have an introduction, a body part, and a conclusion. Introduction should set the context, explains relevance of the topic, and you have to state the purpose of your writing. The body part may focus on building points or supporting data, developing the ideas, supporting the main line. And the concluding part should re-emphasize the main idea, or you may have to restate the purpose of your writing. And moving over to the revision of writing, how may I revise writing? How can I revise? That question is there in everyone's mind, especially the budding writers. So there are you have to review, read again, review, get the feedback from your peers or your mentors, revise your writing, proofread, look for the grammatical errors, or spell check your writing, and check whether any punctuational errors also, because a wrong punctuation may miscommunicate the idea. Then you can have a checklist for all this review. Do I have a clear thesis? Are my ideas clear enough? How have I organized my writing? Have I organized my writing from a small point to a bigger one, from general to specific, from ideas to information, and then later on to proof? What is my paragraph structure? Do I have enough supporting details? Does my conclusion include a restating of my thesis? All these points should be checked over and over again if you need your piece of writing to be perfect, picture perfect. Then rewriting strategies are refocusing, reordering, adding or deleting. Sometimes the essential may miss, in which case you have to add details. Sometimes there is superfluency or some redundancy may be there. Such things may have to be deleted. Now, proofreading, you have to have a checklist for that too. Does my writing appear professional? You ask yourself, have I checked my spelling? Have I checked my punctuation? Are my sentences short and clear and simple to read? And then the last thing you have to take care about is documentation. But this may not help you right now in the first year level. Later on, when you move higher up in your semesters, this style of documentation plays much a key role. Now let's see how to proofread. You have to check spelling, check whether it is British English or American English, check your grammar, read your writing aloud. This will also expose the hidden mistakes. And also you can talk to your teacher, get the feedback of your teacher. Or sometimes even you can go to professional help, no? Like writing laboratories are available where you can send your writing and get professional help. And to put all that in a piece of simple diagrammatic representation or a graphic organizer, The steps are inventing step, composition step, and revision step. This may be repeated over and over till you get the desired effect. With that, we have come to the end of our topic. These are some of the resources for my reference. And with that, I have come to the end of my presentation. And I thank you for your patient listening. And your participation has made all the difference. And the floor is now open for your queries. If you have any queries, you can clarify your doubts. With that, we have come to the end of our presentation. Thank you very much.